Tell you what, lose track of time whenever you start dealing with cuttings, can't you? Hello there, everybody. Good evening. It's Wednesday night, 8:30 p.m. It's time for another live stream. Sorry about that. I was just a little bit late getting back in front of the screen. I hope I didn't keep you waiting too long. I was just in the back having a look at this thing that you cannot see unless I put it in front of my shirt because it's a green screen. Well, maybe you can see part of it. A lot of it's just the sticks here, but this is a bunch of cuttings that I've been looking at, and I've got them started in water. Well, I don't have them started in water. I just stuck them in water because I don't have anywhere else to put them at the moment. I don't have the front room set up the way I want it for getting these started in a proper media, but we've got a water start with a cozy from my friend Tim there at Ridge Life that's serving as a barrier to stop the light from getting through, because you want to have the places that are supposed to be rooting somewhere dark, and of course you want it to be warm enough. So we've been working on trying to keep these guys warm to see if we can get some root formation. The little tiny twigs here are all red mulberry, and they just went in because I was doing a little bit of pruning in the back. So we're going to catch up on what I've been doing throughout the week. It wasn't really much of anything. I was just walking through and got the pruners out and was snipping up here and there and then clearing up some messes here and there, stuff like that. But nothing really worth shooting video about. It's just walking about and doing some maintenance. I grabbed a piece of Elaeagnus multiflora here. Maybe it'll root, maybe it won't. I haven't had any luck getting them to root yet, but I haven't really gone to a lot of trouble to try to get them to root yet. This is one of those things that we'll expand into as I get the space made for it. This thing here is it's an interesting plant. This is a black elderberry. So it's Sambucus nigro, I think is what it's called. Negro, yeah, I think. Anyway, black elderberry. We got one of these growing in the front yard. It's spread out. It's doing really well. That's just an extra little clipping off of it. Maybe it will root too. We'll find out. But that's not what we're really here to talk about today, is it? Nah. That's just what I was doing. Instead of starting on time, I was going and putting that drink cozy around that particular jar because it needs the extra insulation, and it does help better than just having the black plastic wrap around to block the light. Maybe we'll have success and get one or two of those things to root, despite the fact that I don't have a heat mat set up and a dedicated area for rooting those late winter cuttings. One of these days we will. So hello, everyone. Hello, John. Hello, Mary. Hello, Billy at Wickershire. Hello, Sean at Sassafras Red. Elton Butterfield. Cindy. Ken Jennings. Brian Perendi. I am built for tough. I have not worn this shirt in a while. This shirt is not a XXX. It's not an extra large, and as a result it wasn't fitting me quite right previously. Now it is fitting me much better because we've been working on the diet and losing some belly fat and a few pounds. Yes, sirree, Bob. We lost some weight, eating healthy, eating lots of nuts, and fruits, and yeah, occasionally some junk. I still get to eat some junk every now and then, but I've been moving towards a better diet. It's really hard, isn't it, to keep a good diet whenever all the good sources of protein are expensive, right? Everything, the good food is so expensive. The pasta is cheap. You can get lots of pasta. Potatoes are cheap. You can eat lots of potatoes. So all your starch calories, those are cheap and easy to get. You can get lots of rice. We can get lots of beans too. Beans are good protein, but they're high on the glycemic index. So that's extra blood sugar. That's not really great if you were trying to knock those extra pounds off. Billy's saying every pound I lose is one he gains. Hey, if you're gaining weight on the homestead, you must be doing something right, right? Unless of course you're already a little bit too heavy to begin with, in which case then you just want to try to get it down to a healthy level. But I am feeling a bit better with the loss of the weight. It makes it a lot easier to get out and get things done whenever you're not carrying around extra pounds. Those extra like you're training to be a super saiyan and you've got the extra weighted clothing on, right? Well, that's what carrying around a little extra weight does to you. Oh shoot. Billy says you could lose 65. No beer, no soda pop. And try to cut back on the candy. I know I still have gummy bears and gummy worms sometimes because the gelatin is good for your joints. It's good for your skin too. Keeping your skin healthy, your joints healthy. That's nice, but they put way too much sugar in those. So although it makes a good gelatin supplement, it does give you a little extra sugar. So you have to kind of stagger those out and say, okay, if I'm going to have a gummy candies, I'm just going to have to cut back on any and all other forms of carbohydrates at all, because that's my limit. That's all the sugar I can handle. Billy says no soda or beer, coffee and water on occasion. It's the carbs. Yeah. Well, the carbs are cheap calories, but unfortunately they like to pile on to places, as is the problem with them. Yep. So let me see. What did I say what I was going to do? I was gonna catch you up on what we've been doing throughout the week. I was going to give you maybe an introduction to a new channel. That's what we'll do. Let's do an introduction to a new channel since we got everybody right here. The channel I'm going to introduce you guys to is called Hayes Heavenly Heart Ranch. I've done a just a regular community post about them. They're here in Oklahoma. They're I guess maybe 2.5, maybe 3 hours south of us here. Down there, just a little south of Mounds. And if y'all don't mind, I'm going to play a little introduction that shows you who they are. It's a little family. So here we go. Let me switch to this view and get this thing rolling. And if we don't have volume, I think we got volume. Just let me know.
Hey guys, I'm Joshua.
I'm Sierra.
And we're the Hayes. This is going to be the future site of Hayes Heavenly Heart Ranch.
2 years ago, my husband faced a pivotal moment after leaving law enforcement. Confronted with a major medical condition, we were left with a daunting choice: accept paralysis or endure surgery with a lengthy recovery. Refusing to come to despair, we chose the path of surgery. During those arduous 10 months, we encountered numerous medical challenges, accumulating over $30,000 in debt. Our situation worsened when our landlord informed us of the house's impending sale due to financial strain. With plummeting credit scores, finding a new home seemed impossible. Yet, amid uncertainty, a beacon of hope emerged. Just days before receiving the news, we stumbled upon an ad for 8.23 acres of pristine land with in-house financing. It was an opportunity to fulfill our lifelong dream of owning a ranch. Raised in the country and with livestock, we've always held a shared vision of self-sufficiency and giving back to those in need. Walking the land, we found an undeniable calling to make it our own. Despite lacking funds for a down payment, Providence intervened. A generous gift covering the exact amount needed, affirming our path forward. Now, as landowners, our dream beckons us to build a ranch, a place where we can thrive and extend a helping hand to those in need. But our journey requires support. We have found some cabins that will work as a tiny home, but we seek assistance in acquiring materials for fences and livestock shelters. Monetary donations are welcomed, but expertise and equipment for land development are equally valuable. Join us as we embark on this transformative journey. Your contributions, whether financial or through expertise, will help turn our vision into reality. Thank you for your kindness, and may blessings abound.
All right. That's where it is right there. Let me turn to this and move that from the screen. All right. So those are some of our new neighbors down south of us. It's an area between the towns of Henrietta and Eufaula. It's out in the country. That field that they were showing, that's a whole bunch of I believe it's little bluestem, some prairie grass. So it looks like it's going to be nice land for them to work on. I don't know exactly what they're planning on raising, but it's going to be interesting to see what they come up with as they go forward. Almost 8.25 acres is not a bad chunk for an independent farmer to get on and do something with. And yeah, it's got water right there. Lake Eufaula is just down the road a little ways. They're on the north side of the lake from where Bug Tussle is. If you guys know from watching the Beverly Hillbillies and ever heard of Bug Tussle, it's a real place. It's really in Oklahoma. It's on the other side of that lake where they're at. So they're just down south of us in southeast Oklahoma. Well, are they in southeast? Yeah, they're in southeast because they're south of Oklahoma City. A little bit south of Mounds in McIntosh County is where that is. 8.23. At the end of that video, it's that parcel at the bottom. So just north of us is that large pond, and then they got the stream coming down, and yeah, it's if you're headed across country, taking Interstate 40, they are just like right along that corridor, so they're not far off of there. Might make a nice place for homestead meetups at some point in the future. Actually, being on that particular corridor might work in their advantage. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they grow it and how they develop it. The mission is something that I really like. Is, you're getting with that much extra, you're going to be able to provide food for more people. And Joshua does also have a ministry as well that you can investigate if you like. So that was one of the things that I started out with this week whenever I saw that and went, oh, wow, this is going to be interesting. Give me a second here. I'm hearing a lot of noises coming from the porch right now. We may have problems with kitty cats. Give me just a moment. I have to check this out. Did you hear calling? What the heck is all that noise? Yeah. Is everybody all right out here? Okay. As long as everybody's all right out here. Okay. I think it was Sergeant Crybaby. I think he was feeling abandoned. It's like, hey, you left me out on the porch all by myself. There's nobody here around me to help me. But did you hear that scraping sound? I think that was him scratching the door. I'm not sure. Hi.
The children in the room.
The
Children
children
on the boxes.
That was them? Aha. Okay.
Remember, lots of boxes. 3 cats.
Gotcha. All right. We sorted out the catastrophe. We sorted out the catastrophe. Yeah, just walk away. Just get up, walk away. I'm just going to walk away. Dead air, all that stuff. Hey, Mary sent one of those membership chats because she's been a member for 35 months. The Royal Oak classification members. Says send the corn. She went to one of my previous videos and looked at the bottom and discovered a little tab for our online store. Clicked on that and ordered Big Horse spotted corn. It was about $5 for shipping, $4.99 for the package of seeds. And she's telling me to send the corn. But Mary, the corn is already here at the house. At the moment, we're finding out if where the money goes in the shopping cart app, because she used PayPal to pay for it. So is it going to go to my PayPal first, or is it going to go to Shopify, or is it going to just get held in limbo until it goes over to my bank? We're not really sure yet. So whenever we figure out what happens there and how much of a chunk all the other merchants and vendors involved in the entire process are going to take out, that's going to let me know a little bit more about how I want to have my pricing for everything going forward. Let me see. Carolyn's saying they're going to need small livestock, talking about the Hayes farm. Yeah, I was thinking about that too. You can't graze a whole lot of cows on 8 acres, but sheep you can get a lot on. And that property there, that looks like a really nice meadow. So they're just going to need fencing. They're going to need sheep. Probably wouldn't need goats, I don't think, unless a lot of that is that wooded area. You can use goats in the wooded area. Knock it back a bit. John saying, I see you have city prepping comment on the page. Let me see. Yeah, I think talking about city prepping and gardening in town and stuff like that. Also earlier, I guess it was this week, I was over there at Permapastures Farm, where they were having a live stream. You guys know Permapastures. Billy at Permapastures Farm wrote this wonderful book called Scrap Steading. I talked about it back on Monday. It came to me back last week, but I skipped my Wednesday live stream, so I didn't talk about it then. Vicky sent me this. Vicky Savage sent me this. Really good book. I read a little piece of it on Monday's live stream. It was a little pop-up live stream. If you want to hear it, go back there. You can hear it. But I did recommend the book highly. And I'd mentioned some things on which one was this? Episode 173 here of the of Billy's podcast. Let me copy this link real quick here so you guys can find it. I'd like for you to be able to. Let's see down here. I could be able to get there. Post that thing there. Let's see if it shows up. All right. It would show up right there. You don't have to go there right now. Open up it in a separate tab and look at it later. The relevant point was somewhere around, I don't know, half an hour in or so. They were talking there on the show about in-town gardening, sneaking stuff past HOAs. You know, that sometimes people have problems with you doing gardening. It's shocking, but there are so many things that you can do to sneak vegetables in right under the nose of the homeowners association. And one of the ideas I pitched was, hey, get some topiary frames, set them up in your yard, grow sweet potatoes on the topiary frames, and keep them pruned and nice and presentable. And the HOA will think, oh wow, look, a lovely little decorative vining plants with the little flowers. Oh, isn't that delightful? Yeah, it's vegetables, it's sweet potatoes, guys. But you can do things to make your vegetables look like a colorful decorative garden display. And Billy had said that he likes the comments that I was making, and maybe I should come on the podcast. So doing my due diligence, I followed up, sent him an email, and said that sounds great. Let me know when and where and what you'd like to talk about. And now all we need to do is make sure that you guys get over there, and specifically on this particular episode where he had mentioned aloud in front of the audience that maybe he should have me on, that they're wondering when that's going to happen, or that you're wondering when that's going to happen. Don't be mean. but yeah, we have a lot of viewers in common, because we cover a lot of the same areas. I absolutely love the stuff that Billy's doing in Texas, and one of these days I would love to get us here and maybe Billy and David Goodman all together. We could have a lot of fun. And I know Billy and David have hung out together. So now we just have to get us all in the same room at one time. I don't know if we'll get anything accomplished, but it'll be fun. It will be fun. So that's the other thing that I was doing earlier this week. I didn't share this little item. I didn't share this little item with you guys earlier with the things that came in the mail. I got these. You may have seen advertisements for this. It's a nonprofit organization that produces these. So the stuff that they have, other than the physical product, you can download the stuff for free. The educational materials. These are called critical thinking cards. I thought this was a pretty cool thing. This is not a paid advertisement, by the way. It's just this is something I thought was cool. It's not exactly the right time for these, because this is more of a Christmas stocking stuffer for your kids or for your nieces and nephews or that sort of thing. There are 48 cards in here. 24 of them cover critical thinking biases, and the other 24 cover fallacies. So, for example, your fallacy here is appeal to emotion, manipulating an emotional response in place of a valid or compelling argument. For example, Luke didn't want to eat his sheep's brains with chopped liver and Brussels sprouts, but his father told him to think about the poor, starving children in a third world country who weren't fortunate enough to have any food at all. That's an appeal to emotion. I don't know that I'd want to have sheep's brains with chopped liver, although the Brussels sprouts are okay. But who knows? Maybe it's good. Maybe the way mother prepares them is delicious. But the argument that children in a third world country are starving is certainly not a valid argument. So we have these. This I fall prey to this bias quite often. This is the one it turned up to. It's called the curse of knowledge, right? Once you understand something, you presume it to be obvious to everyone. I make this mistake all the time. And I start talking about something that people have no foundational knowledge of, and they go, "What are you talking about?" And then I have to go back and explain where I got started, and it's awkward. But yeah, before I learned certain things, I was completely and totally clueless, and I learn new things all the time. So I'm constantly going on about something that maybe you haven't already heard of. Sorry if that happens. Just say, "Hey, hang on, you left me back there somewhere." In addition to the regular cards, there are, I think it's 5 different. What do they call them? Premium cards. Some of these are cards describing games. And yeah, there's like 3 different games in here. One of them is Fallacy Pickup, where you lay all 20 fallacy cards out, watch a news channel, political debate, or other partisan media, and the first player to vocally identify a fallacy being committed picks up that card. The player with the most cards at the end of the show wins. Fun, right? So you can use that whenever, these people are going on and on and on and trying to manipulate you, and they're saying things that aren't necessarily true or designed to mislead you intentionally. Yeah, whenever you see that happening, you score points and go, "Ha, ha, I spotted it." Bad thinking heads up. This is a different game that they have here. It says here, take a random fallacy or bias card and put it on your forehead. So don't look at it. You have to stick it on your forehead. I guess it would help if you have a cap or a beanie or something like that. So anyway, the idea is I'm not supposed to be able to see this, but everybody else can. All right. With the front facing outwards, but without looking at it. Other players can commit the fallacy or enact the bias to give you clues as to what it is. So it's kind of like blind man's bluff, right? We just I've got this up on my head and I don't know what it is because I didn't look at it, right? And if I get it really, really close to the camera, then I know that this is a fallacy card, and the fallacy that is up there is middle ground, which is saying that a compromise or middle point between two extremes is the truth. No, not always. Sometimes the two extreme positions are both wrong to begin with, and having a middle ground between two wrong positions is equally wrong and stupid. And that's usually what happens whenever you choose between two politicians, incidentally. You have two wrong choices and you're choosing a middle ground or a compromise between two wrong choices. It's silly. Why would you want to do that? Spot the bad thinking. Take turns sending out the example or reading out the example at the bottom of a blue fallacy card or the main description of a bias card. The player who calls out the correct fallacy or bias first keeps that card. So it's kind of like, just use them like flashcards for your nieces and nephews. And I'll say that you judge others on their character, but yourself on the situation. What bias is that? And the first one to say what that bias is gets the point, right? That is a fundamental attribution error. Fundamental attribution error. And it's not only kind to view others' perspectives with charity, it's more objective too. Try to be mindful to err on the side of taking personal responsibility rather than justifying and blaming. So, nifty stuff is from the schoolofthought.org. I'm sorry, I don't have a link to share with you for schoolofthought.org, but that's the group that put this things up. I kept on getting ads for these things because critical thought and philosophy and stuff like that is something that I'm into, and I decided, why not? I'll buy a set and check them out. I bought a set. I checked them out. I got extras for stocking stuffers. And I thought that was pretty cool. So there you go. Just sharing a few items with you guys that I thought were pretty cool. Granny Lana's here. She just woke up. Yeah, you're kind of squinty-eyed. How are you doing? Oh, Sasha says, I spent more time trying to find something to watch than watching anything. Oh, shoot. Yeah. Oh, now you just hang out. I thought you were spending most of your time working. I do, though. I do watch the weirdest things, Mary says. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I do watch the weirdest things. I'd gotten that idea there to have a look at my viewing history and to go back through my viewing history and see what in the world I have been watching. And sometimes this is it's a puzzle to me how it wound up in my viewing history. But it turns out that whenever you walk away from YouTube and you're using a computer with a mouse pointer, and the mouse pointer just happens to be on that feed somewhere, but it's not, I don't know, if it's not in between videos, if it's like on a video, it counts this as a view. And it'll play in the background, and although you won't be able to hear anything, it counts it as a view. I don't know if it counts this as a view for the purposes of ad revenue for probably not, but it records it on your watch history as a view, which is kind of interesting. Heterodox is saying, anyone use Fedco seeds? I haven't used Fedco seeds, so I can't tell you anything. So if anybody has used Fedco seeds and has a review, let Heterodox know. Oh, there we go. There you go. All right. The view. All right, let's see. I was going into my history to see what in the world I was watching. Shorts today. There's one here that says, is buckwheat good in a cover crop mix? Personally, I happen to think so. And that particular channel had tried it out in a cover crop mix to feed their livestock with, and were wondering about whether it would be good or not, considering that it's not really that much feed for the livestock. but after trying it, realized it was so great to have the extra beneficial insects coming in, because all these tiny little flowers popping everywhere just makes everything come to life. That all the knock-on benefits of adding that buckwheat, like maybe an extra $10 per acre, putting that into the cover crop mix was definitely worth it. And so yeah, they'll do it again. But that was interesting because they were using this as a grazing cover crop mix, and I'm using it more of a ground cover and amendment. And yeah, you can also eat the stuff. So it's multi-roll. It's multi-roll. It's great. The more things that are multi-roll like that, the better. To the point where we're just going to have vegetables popping up out of the ground at random and for no apparent reason. And I think that's exactly the way I want my garden to look. All right, let's move on down. Hayes' Heavenly Heart Ranch, we already covered that. Interview with Organic Growers School of the Permapasture Farm, we covered that one there. If I go back just a little bit earlier today, I was looking at a video from a lady by the name of Iris. Her channel is called Moonsprout. I did not want to play it. I just wanted to click on it, guys. And she did a premiere. She does these periodically. The title is a little bit misleading. It's says the truth about plant-based. The truth about plant-based protein. They put that link in there for you if you like to check it out. The truth about plant-based protein, lab-grown meat. We've been eating it all along. I don't know that what she's showing is actually lab-grown, but it is definitely grown meat. And yeah, sure, it's plant-based protein. Well, she's feeding the plants to her rabbits, but so it's a cute little video. So I was watching that earlier, as I do. What else were we looking at? No-till growers. If no-till is so great, why isn't everyone doing it? This was an older video of theirs that I watched. Then we had one from David the Good, Trash Tree Makeover. Do this to reap good fruit from garbage trees. Let me get a link for that one for you guys real quick. This one is definitely worth watching. I guess I'm going to have to click on it to get the link. Okay, not a problem. I've got the volume turned off. There we go. My apologies for spamming you guys with commercials. Oh my goodness. Here we go. This is a link for David the Good's latest video premiere. I just wanted to put this out there for you. It's taking a Bradford pear tree, which is lousy tree, horrible tree. They're planted everywhere because the big show of white fluffy flowers are really pretty early on, right? That's why they get used in landscaping so much as an ornamental tree. But the wood is weak. And the fruits are tiny little things. They're itsy bitsy and they're annoying, and they're the birds eat them and then they go land on your car and they do nasty things on your car. So having this tree around, no fun. And now they're seeding themselves and growing wild everywhere. So they weren't supposed to. That was the idea. This was supposed to be a pear that was ornamental, but it was going to be infertile and they wouldn't spread, but they do spread. The birds eat them. They lay the seeds and they spread. And you can find these Bradford pear trees. But they get out there, they establish the root systems, they're ready to rock and roll. What do you do with it now? And David went back, I think a year or so ago, and did a whole bunch of chip grafts on a Bradford pear that they cut the most of the top off of. So there was well over a dozen different varieties of other tree that they grafted onto this one stump of a Bradford pear. And so on this video that I just shared the link for, he came back and examined what happened with all of these different grafts that they put on there and showed you which ones took and how they had performed. So yeah, you may not, you might have one of these Bradford pears. You can always use it to graft onto, I suppose. But yep, there are always things you can do with them. Personally, plan on just cutting them down and replacing them with a better tree. Maybe that's too extreme, huh? Does that mean cutting down the trees that don't produce good fruit? Cutting down the trees that don't produce good fruit and casting them into the fire. We've got a Bradford pear tree sitting under the carport right now, seasoning. It's the one that was across the street at the church. One church across the street, not this church across the street. I didn't get any of their Bradford pear tree. I think I just like helped them clear up a couple limbs whenever it lost a few, but they took down the one across the street here, and the guy that was doing it was doing it for basically a song. He was volunteering the work, and because he was volunteering the work and was going to have to pay to haul the thing away, I said, "Hey, don't just. I'll take the wood. You don't have to worry about hauling that off to the green waste site. You can take the big bushy branches with you because I don't have a tub grinder, but all the small material, just all the small material, I'll take that because I can put it into my walkways and I can turn that into organic matter, and that'll be great. We'll turn it into soil, and all the big stuff, we'll season it and use it for firewood." So that is an example of a tree that produces no good fruit that will be cast into the fire. By golly, I love fulfilling scripture. All right, moving on. Moving on. We really don't have a problem coming up with enough wood to burn if we look around for it. The main problem is we didn't have a stockpile of it ahead of time, and we've gone to relying upon the wood stove for our main source of heat in the winter. So we had to buy a little ahead to make up the difference. Last year, I used up most of our seasoned wood that we had and had to buy a little bit towards the end. And so this year, I made sure we had extra on hand, which is always good. But now we've got extra on hand, plus the 2-year-old sycamore that hopefully we'll be able to split maybe next year, this winter, maybe, possibly. I don't know. If we can, great. If we can't, shoot, eventually I'll bury it and turn it into reishi mushrooms or something. But that Bradford pear should cook pretty good. Mary's talking about okay. Brian was asking about now that the garage is cleaned out. Okay, I'm backing up here. Brian was asking about the garage. Shoot. We are now taking the stuff that we're planning on keeping and shoving it into the garage and closing the garage door, and then taking all the stuff that we're planning on throwing away in the next dumpster trip and putting it into tubs and stuff like that and moving it under the carport, because the carport's going to come down next, and then probably next year we'll bring the garage down, and that will be the end of the garage, and then we'll work on erecting a permanent woodshed. And the idea that I'm going to work on here, so we're going to have that woodshed go 2 years. The cattle panel woodshed over there. It's doing fine. It's doing fine. Some of the tarps are getting some holes worn into them from the wind action. But as far as structurally speaking, the cattle panel woodshed is holding together, and it's working just fine. Been all the way through the winter, heading into the spring. We've had high winds, and it did not blow away. So apparently, I did something right putting the thing together. But after we bring the garage down, we'll be taking that particular, I guess, design, the dimensions of the cattle panel woodshed, and we'll use that to create the new woodshed. One side will be set up with glass, so so it can capture the low sun during the winter, and we can use it as a plant starting area. And the other side, on the north side, I'll put an area in there where the ducks can come in, and we can have the ducks take shelter, and we can have the woodshed, which will, as the season progresses and we take the wood out of the woodshed, the area back there where the wood was, the oldest wood that we pulled out, that area will become the plant starting area as the wood is removed. Not using that space for anything else. After we remove the wood and burn it in the stove, that space is open. We'll start plants there, and we can have a little mini greenhouse built into that area of the woodshed. And then on the other side, we have space for our ducks. So I'll be able to go from the back porch into our shed, right back outside by the back door. Go get the wood. Go let the ducks out in the morning, and preferably we can have this to the point where I have shelter or cover most of the trip. I know I have to leave a little space in between additional outbuildings and the house for code purposes. Also, I don't want to have stuff interfering with the place where the power line runs back there. I'm going to remove all of the obstructions around the power line, including getting rid of an old sweet gum tree that's back down there. But the sweet gum will come down after the garage comes down. So there'll be one afternoon that we're going to drop the power line, drop the sweet gum tree, this is after we've brought the garage down. We'll drop the power line, drop the sweet gum tree, and then put the power line back up. And then we get to take all of the blocks from the garage. This is going to be next year. I don't think we're going to have the cash together to do this. I mean, we're just saving up the money to hire the crew to do the work, to get everything done, including buying or paying for the dumpsters and stuff like that. But by next year we should have the garage down. Then we'll take all of those blocks from the garage, cement blocks, and use them to build our box wall. And so it's coming together, guys, bit by bit, piece by piece. Speaking once more, of things that I was watching this weekend, this week, I was watching an episode of. Oh, I'm still playing this video from David in the background there. Let's go back to my watch history. I was watching a bit from. Who was that? That nice couple in Mississippi. Deep South Homestead. That's right. Deep South Homestead. I used to have Deep South Homestead in a link because they were doing sort of your more conventional small farm homesteading operation with the small tractor and stuff like that. A lot of people, whenever they think about, I'm going to start a homestead, they're thinking about what Wanda and it is Wanda, right? I have a hard time remember Danny and Wanda. That's right. What Danny and Wanda do. A lot of people think it's the micro compact, mini compact, or micro compact tractor, small tractor, 5-10 acres or so, something like that. And you do your vegetables, maybe you have some livestock, that sort of thing. That's what a lot of people think of when they think of homestead. So I was like, okay, I want to have everybody represented and have valid viewpoints that people can look at. But really, when it comes down to it, it's not really the kind of gardening that I do at all. And there are a lot of things that get done in that sort of gardening that I greatly disagree with. But I don't want to poo-poo it, because there are so many things that they do that's good and wonderful and great that I don't want to be the fly on the ointment, I don't want to be the fly. They're good for what they do. It's just not something that I advertise most of the time. But this is something that I will advertise, and it's from their I believe Porch Time show, where Danny is saying it is all about choices, and he is absolutely 100% correct. That's That's something that I greatly agree with. I mean, really, when it comes down to it, even if somebody is threatening you with violence directly, saying you do what I say or else is an invitation to engage your imagination and imagine some different choices. It's just lazy to accept the choices that other people put in front of you, especially whenever they mean you harm. And that's worth considering. So anyway, Saspress said, I'm buying infrastructure or the materials for said infrastructure. I don't pay for labor. Yeah, that's nice. I mean, whenever I can get work arrangements to get help with labor, I'd rather do it that way. But the way I see it, if I'm investing in what's eventually going to be the homestead small farm business, we raise and grow trees and seeds and other stuff like that, and hopefully we get sales actually started. More than merry, just occasionally buying a pack of seeds to make sure that the shopping app works. Then yeah, I'm going to be hiring people to do things that to grow the business, expand, and do things faster than I can get it done myself. Also, bringing down an entire garage solo is a little bit of a daunting task whenever I'm having to pay for the dumpster extra time if I'm having to do it at my own pace. So yeah. Oh yeah, Carolyn just mentioned something that's worth repeating. I don't have a link to their new teaching channel, but it's called Pecan Grove, and that's where they're doing most of their other stuff, because apparently they're running into trouble like everybody does, saying too much of one thing. Sometimes the algorithms don't like it. Yep. Anyway, but I thought that particular discourse on choices was really on point. That's what I thought. What else was I looking at? Okay. I'm not sure where this is yet. I just found this particular channel. So give me a second here, and I'm gonna grab the video, a link to the video that I watched, and you guys can check it out. It's called Setites Tech Homestead Adventures. Tiny little channel, 233 subscribers so far. Itsy bitsy, right? But this is a fellow who's using some of his knowledge of technology, and I think he may be an electrician in addition to it, to do chores around his little homestead, and they're building up their homestead as well. So this is in the vein of checking out more small homesteaders and people who are just getting started. I'm going to share this guy with you. This is Setites, like I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean. Setite, is he a Setite, a follower of the Egyptian god Set? Well, I don't know. Maybe he can explain it to you. But I encountered that this channel in a live stream chat room. I believe it was someone in the another homesteader, one of the American Homesteader Conference guys, was having a live stream on his home channel, and this guy popped up as talking about people of a certain skin tone and political persuasion being considered to be pariahs. And of course, he said, I wonder what they make of me. Because he's a rural, conservative leaning, I suppose, homesteader, but he doesn't reflect as much light as I do. So he's wondering what they would think of him. Well, I think he's rather clever, and he does really good work with that drone he's got. And yeah, get to see more homesteads being built. Sasspress says he still has a well to drive. We really do need to do that as well. We have one sand spike down, but it's not down deep, so we have a lot of turbidity. And I think if we got it deeper, we would have less turbidity. Of course, if we start to drive it deeper and we discover that we have encountered the large boulder that forms the foundation that this particular island is built upon, and don't get past that, then we have damaged our sand spike. So I'm thinking we want to have, I'm thinking we want to have an additional sand spike in an additional location. Drive that one deep, and hopefully, if it doesn't get damaged, we can always come back and add additional lakes to the first one we had, and hopefully, we have 2 functioning wells instead of 1 or 0. If we just tried to make the one we've already got deeper and mess it up. Also, I wouldn't mind going ahead and digging a regular well with casing so that we can lower buckets down and haul water out that way. Because you never know. Being able to replace pump parts is nice. We have replacement parts for the pump that we've got, but once those go, if we can't find replacements or something happens with the pump body itself, then we're stuck. Not to mention, it's 10 pumps of that handle to get 1 gallon of water out with the manual pump. 10 pumps of the handle. It's a lot. So anyway, Brian said, I have an 8-inch well hydrant to fix without digging. Heck no. Oh. Yeah, and yeah, it's glad I didn't do that work. It could be problematic, and I'd have to check and see at what time the water in the water table is going to be at its lowest to do a hand dig, and we, like I said, probably want to have hard casings, either maybe a plastic, hard plastic casing that we can put down, or the metal ones, and then you go back over the top. Sarge, I'm trying to get you off of my lap because I don't want you on my lap, but I don't want you on my top of my computer either. That's just fine. Stay right there. That's good. No, stay right there. That's great. Right there's fine. Right there's fine. Yep. Now on the old farm, about 25 miles down the river there, we had the hand dug well, and it was about 6-7 feet across, maybe 8 feet across. It was, it was nice. It went down a good ways, and about halfway down, it had a platform. And no, Kitty, I don't want you on my lap. That's the reason why I put you down here. Silly, stay. So about halfway down, it had a platform, and we had 2 pumps. We had an upper pump and a lower pump. And I don't know how they had this thing fixed, but they worked together. And between the 2 of them functioning, we got the water all the way down from the bottom to the top, and it worked. But that was somewhat awkward. No, Kitty, I don't want you on my lap. Why are you even in the house? This is Sergeant. He is the old cat. He has decided he wants to be a lap cat. I don't know why he wants to be a lap cat. There we go. Stay. Again, stay. Don't give me that look. I did not invite you onto my lap. I did not. You can't give me that look because I did not invite you. That's the way it works, right? Yeah. Okay. But having that full open well, we didn't really consider. I didn't think of it as being an advantage then, but I do kind of think it was nice now, because all else fails, you could always lower a bucket down there. I mean, you could always drop a bucket. Yep. Hang on. Got a bid for a well, 15,000. Yeah. Well, I mean, it depends upon what kind of well that is. If that's, full dug, or it has to be drilled in a place where you have to go through rock to get to your aquifer, then that's right. That's not too bad, really. if we're including the pipe, right? That includes the pipe that you need to get down to the depth where the water is. That may be worth it. Iron pipe is expensive. I mean, I've priced the stuff. If I was going to go buy it and go and sink it myself, it's not cheap to get all the 1 1/4 iron pipe that you need to drive a sand spike deep. So, yeah. If they're going to guarantee a certain depth, at least with that estimate, then it might be worth it. Always do your due diligence and check on the quality of those contractors, though, because you can get stung or bit by people selling you the moon, and they don't have it, or they're not delivering it. Oh, here we go. Billy says whole rainwater catchment ran just under $300. No well, also a spring. Well, yeah, spring you can tap. Spring water's nice. Spring water is nice. Under $300 for rainwater catchment, and you can do a lot with rainwater catchment, especially if you have ample supply of water. Like here, we're going to have anywhere from 30 to 40 inches of rain a year, just not all at convenient time. So I've been working on making sure that we have enough channels with organic matter filled all the way around to capture and hold water there. That's been helping a lot. But eventually I would like to have some water catchment and storage. Yep. 52. Oh my goodness. 52 inches per year is what Billy is getting over there in Tennessee. That's a lot. That's a lot of water. That's all the water you could ever need and more. Well, they say you're supposed to have 1 inch per week. All right, 1 inch per week whenever you're growing. So if you've got 52 inches, then you've got 1 inch per week. The only thing you got to worry about is maybe it doesn't all come in at the right time. So you might have to hold on to some of it for the times when it isn't raining. All right. There you go. 2,400 gallons under a shed for watering. Yeah, that's pretty good. Brian's got an electric submersible pump. Been working since the 80s. It's pretty good. And Heterodox is having drought. Driest year yet. Oh, yeah. Well, out here, Oklahoma, we have kind of a shifting dry line that goes back, and I think it's like an 80-year cycle or so. So we're not quite, or maybe it's a 40-year cycle. I'm not sure whether it's a 40 or an 80. When I was a kid, summers were nice and balmy. The sky was blue and clear. The grass was green, and the thunderstorms were a wonder to behold. Lots and lots of energy in the air, and there still is lots and lots of energy in the air. But whenever winter arrived, we had deep snowdrifts, and we have not had deep snowdrifts for a while. But this year they had like 9-10 foot out there on the Panhandle, and of course then it caught fire and all burned down to the ground. But that's that's kind of the way it is out there. The Texas Panhandle, Oklahoma Panhandle, that area out there is a place where you can see 4 different natural disasters in the same day. And if it's 2 natural disasters in the same day, that's pretty much par for the course. It's just that this year's got particularly bad wildfires that are a bit worse than we're accustomed to seeing. But we are accustomed to seeing wildfires out there. It's just there's only a few things out there. There's grass, there's cattle to eat the grass, and there's cowboys to handle the cattle. Then there's oil rigs and roughnecks to operate the oil rigs, and then whatever else is out there is there to satisfy the needs of the cowboys and the roughnecks. And that's about it. That's about it. That's all they got out there. It's not a place where you want to go unless you're wearing your big boy pants. So Harry is saying, in a weird microclimate, the rain has been missing for some reason. That's interesting. The area where we're at right now has just to the west of us, it has Joe Creek. Yeah, Joe Creek is a real place. I know. I read about Joe Creek in that little radio play, but there is a real Joe Creek. It really does exist. It really does connect to the Arkansas River, and it's just to the west of us. So there's a broad inlet there and a thermal mass in the form of this creek, which is fairly substantial, where it empties into the river. And then there's the river here. So it makes sort of a little triangle with the river coming in. And then we're to the east of that triangle, where there's also the levees and railroad embankments in addition. So we've got earthworks building up to where we're sitting here, which sits higher than everything else in the surrounding neighborhood by about almost 2 feet, 18 inches or so higher than everything else, because we're kind of sitting on an island. It's just, it hasn't been an island in a while, but it is an island whenever the river's in full flood, full channel. It can flood to the north of us, and it can flood to the south of us, and it can flood downstream from us. So I guess we're on an island. Yeah, but that structure causes storms to be slightly affected whenever they pass over. So we'll have the worst of storms either pass to the north of us or all the way on the other side of the river to the south of us. But they always break and go one way or the other. We haven't been stuck in a shadow where we don't get any rain, like being in a rain shadow from a mountain or something like that. But who knows? I mean, maybe there were some earthworks or diversion of a waterway back in the direction that the weather is supposed to be coming from, and it's causing it to divert and not hit you. They're saying she watched a video on how forests make their own rain and air like lungs, but they use it all back up. Yeah, it's ecosystems within ecosystems within ecosystems. Yeah, they're fun. Then Joe showed up finally. There's Joe. Chester is saying we're right on the edge of a major drought. All the Mississippi, Missouri, and Ohio river basins are terribly dry. Yeah, last year was pretty dry. Well, no, not last year. Year before last was pretty dry, and last year was relatively. It wasn't huge. Let me take a look and see what our actual rainfall was. Let's see. Okay. I should probably put the year, right? 2023 rainfall for here. All right. There we go. Okay, so here we go. We've got wettest spring, driest spring. Ooh. I don't want to look at things in terms of wettest and driest. I just wanted annual rainfall. Can you do that maybe? All right. I'm going to have to look through that thing before I can make sense of it. there's a thing that's supposed to tell us what our what our rainfall was, but I'm going to actually have to go dig through it and probably do some calculation. They can't make it this simple. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Oh, Mary's telling on me. Mary's telling on me. Yeah, I was late getting to the camera. I had the live stream set up, and then I was running around playing with my with my cuttings and getting them set up with a little this is a pint jar, right? But I set them up with one of those little drink cozies, right? That you get as merchandising from another channel. I've used this same little drink cozy and a pint jar to start all kinds of stuff. So I didn't have a good place to put cuttings, so I just shoved them in there, and hopefully something will take root. I don't know what, but hopefully something will. There we go. Sasspress says Greenleaf Woodworks at yahoo.com. You know, they make stuff. Incidentally, look at this. This is soap that Sasspress Red's wife makes, if I'm not mistaken. Elderberry Meadow. Look at that handcrafted soap. This is elderberry, mint, and yarrow. Smells good. Feels this stuff feels really nice. John says, all these blue wrenches, geez. Yeah, John, you see, the deal is early on, whenever I started putting the channel together, I realized that eventually I was going to need moderators. So all the people that were around at the very beginning that were not lunatics got blue wrenches. And now whenever somebody shows up and wants to be an idiot, they can give them a timeout or send them packing. And it's great. I don't have to worry about it. Because usually I won't catch it until long after the way I see chat come up on my end and the way it appears on your end. I'm usually way behind everybody. So she's been making soap for 25 years. They use the plants that they grow in it. It's all natural handmade soap. It smells and it feels great. Smells and feels great. They made some incense too, I think, that they sent to me last year. I said you're not a lunatic. I don't want to disparage the type of crazy that you are. That's a different type of crazy. We're okay with that one. Oh, John says his handmade soap feels but doesn't smell too great. All right. Oh my, that's spooky. So January weather report said Mexico City and metropolitan area only has 6 months of water left, but until June, that's when the rainy season begins. Hopefully, just sharing us, Mexico City is on the shores of an old lake, and when it was first being settled, they used to take live willow stakes, and they'd go out into the shallows and they'd drive the willow stakes down into the ground in fences, and they'd weave other willow withes in between those to make a wall, and then they would dig out the mud and the muck from the bottom of the lake and put that on the inside. They would make a box wall out of willow stakes and then weave to make a wall, and then they dig out these channels underneath and put all the earth up inside. And so they built up these little rafts or islands of earth they could plant into, deep channels on either side, and that was probably one of the most productive agriculture systems that the planet has ever seen. So hearing that they're running out of water is kind of disheartening, because that's I don't want to see the Chinampas suffer. They've got some species of salamander that live there that are endangered. They need their water. So hopefully the rain comes on time. Yep. Hopefully. Weird about letting the melons and squashes cross here. What do I call the babies? You're probably not going to get crosses of melon and squash. Maybe crossed melons, maybe cross squashes. If they're tasty, call them lunch. That's what I think. If they're tasty, call them lunch. Squaw melons. So Fastpress said the elderberry is there for the exfoliating part of it. Helps take your skin off. Reek. The sap from elderberry can be irritating, as I understand it. It's effective as an antifungal and as a pesticide as well. So there you go. But this particular preparation is using the berries dried, not the sap or an extract from the leaves. John wants a wrench. Okay, hang on. I can't give you a wrench from StreamYard. I actually have to go over here. Hang on a second. Look at that. There we go. Try that out. Look at that. Come on, John, say something. It has to be, you have to type the word something out, otherwise it doesn't work. It must be the word something. All right, there you go. All right, John. Next time you say something, you should be in blue with a wrench. You don't know how it works anyway. Basically, whenever somebody's being a troll, you can click on them, and instead of having the option of just blocking them from your feed, you can make it so that nobody sees them. That's what it's for. Elderberry. Yes, we have elderberry. Look at this. This little plant right here is elderberry. We're going to try to get it started from a cutting in water. I don't know. We'll see if it works. We'll see if it works. I've got 2 or 3 little starts out there from that just grown up from the roots, suckers from the first plant. So we'll see how it goes. Joe's wanting to know if Mary's got 2 channel usernames. Yeah, she has a couple. She can't remember the logins for them all, but she's got a couple. Brian says, as long as I can get out of it. Awesomeness. See, this is one of the things I want to do too. Is I want to grab that grab that elderberry, cut off, clip just a few sticks and then put them out there, maybe on the front porch and let them cure a little bit, so the ends aren't just fresh cut and subject to getting infected. So once the ends kind of dry or cure a bit, then you can take the entire thing and plant it. And apparently they grow from sticks pretty well. Billy says, wait, I've known Mary for 4 years. Yes, we are married. Yeah. I know. Let's see. Right. Yeah. Well, that's if you can get them to grow, then you just have that many more elderberry trees. Okay. So today I was shooting some video. Heterodox is saying he plants them fresh cut. Do you plant them before they break dormancy or after? Does it matter if they've broken dormancy or not? I was shooting video earlier today with the area that's all the way over to the west, just west of where the duck fence is. We've relocated. No, hang on a second. That's not true. This particular fence, we've relocated the ducks outside of the corn patch. You guys know about that. But this particular fence is the one that's at the west end of the corn patch, and we haven't had to move that at all. So it's still there. Just outside where the fence is, we have one row where I'd started out with mulberry trees 2 years ago, and I planted, I think, 5 of these black mulberry trees. Later, John. John's taking off. I planted five black mulberry trees with the idea that we're going to gather the leaves whenever they lose their leaves, and we move them over to the allium beds because mulberries like to gather sulfur, or so we've been told. And we wanted to make sure that we have sulfur with our alliums because that makes them much better tasting, more potent, better medicinally, all that good stuff. So that was the idea. We're going to take the mulberry leaves, move them there to the alliums, feed the alliums with mulberry leaves. Everybody's happy. But then not all the mulberries grew. We suffered the loss of a few of them, and I had of 5 different mulberry trees. I had one single mulberry tree that made it, and it's the one at the very corner. So we had one here, kind of like one here, 2, 3, and same 1, 2, 3 going that way. This one and this one and this one and this one all died, and this one at the corner was the one that made it. And the crazy thing about that one is I had accidentally cut it down with the weed eater, with the string trimmer. I had cut it down. And I thought I had lost it. That's the one that survived. The other ones didn't make it. So go figure. So we had this mulberry. It survived. It's shooting up, looking pretty good, and it's right next to our stock tank pond that we have over there. I went earlier this week and stripped out a little L-shaped area on the backside of that pond where it comes up into the allium beds, and we relocated all the water chestnuts that I've been growing on the pond. I'd had a cement block in the pond with a basket with some peat moss in it, and the water chestnuts in the peat, and they'd been growing up. And I'd started out with just 1 or 2 plants, and this was the second year growing them. So I have taken about 20 or 30 water chestnut plants and got them restarted in this swampy area on the in between the little mini pond and the allium beds up there. So hopefully those will look nice. The entire area is now just getting run through with peppermint and clovers and other things. Any case, I took this strip here, and this is the place where I put the pecan tree, and we've got an Allegheny chickapin in this strip already, and then there's one more spot in between there and this Anjou or Anjou pear tree that doesn't have anything in it. And I said, okay, what am I going to put in here? It's going to be a spot that's going to get kind of shady. That is a pecan tree that's right next to it, and a pear tree on the other side of it. So eventually this is going to get shaded. So I want something that's going to be able to handle the shade. The chinkapin obviously is going to be able to handle the shade. That's on the one side. But on this side, I wanted something else that could handle shade. It's like, I don't want to plant another chinkapin. What am I going to put in here? And the next door neighbor has some flowering quince, and it's in flower right now. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. I got a little video showing that up close, and see, the thing is, it likes to sucker too. And some of those suckers came underneath the fence and popped up on our side. So last year, I nabbed a couple and moved them into these bags, these sandbags. I take sandbags and I fill them full of wood chips, put a little bit of potty soil in the middle of it, so there's not just pure wood chips there, and I put those in a kiddie pool with some duck water and maybe a goldfish to stop the mosquitoes from going nuts in there. And that's all the fertilizer the things get. That's all the Barry say the pond's still in his head. It's all the fertilizer the plants get. And we have finished our first year of having kiddie pools with trees in them in those bags. And so far, every single last one of them has survived. So yes, the method works. That means we're going to be able to go ahead and start selling out of those bags, out of those little kiddie ponds I have on the south side of the house. Yeah, I'm talking about the pocket pond, not the duck pond. This is just a 100-gallon stock tank pond. You take a 100-gallon stock tank, dig a hole, sink it down into the hole, perforate a couple notches close to the top, so whenever it gets close to being full, instead of overfilling and letting your aquatic plants go all over the place, it'll allow that excess water to wick out into the soil around the pond. So that's kind of the idea behind that. Anyway, still planning on doing the duck pond. At the moment, it's just more I'm going back around and reviewing where everything is, and I need to hire a survey team to come out and make sure that we have the property boundaries down correctly before I do any permanent structural alterations, including the duck pond, because once I pour that concrete, it's going to be kind of hard to move if I need to adjust it to compensate for something else over here. So at the moment, it's in planning stages, and we've got the kind of the footprint where I want it to be. And then after the survey is done, then we can make it more of a concrete, no pun intended, concrete reality. Oh my goodness. Hot tank kiddie pool. Yeah. The goldfish. I don't see any goldfish in the stock tank pond, which is interesting because it's got more volume, and it didn't freeze all the way down to the bottom. But the fish that were in the kiddie pond, the kiddie pool, they lived. Not quite as much water in that kiddie pool. And it froze almost all the way down to the bottom. Goldfish survived. Go figure. Goldfish can handle a lot. That's the reason why they're a great option for those little temporary sub-irrigation ponds. They could sit there in the middle of the fertilized water and go, we're fine. Hi. Oh, is that mosquito larvae? I think I want those. And they'll go munch down. So sweet, creamy, and juicy in texture. Here they're called butter pears. Oh, I cannot wait. I can't wait. I don't really like. I know, right? I got Bartlett's, but I don't really like the Bartlett that much, and I kind of like them a little bit creamier. So I'm looking forward to this one. And I need to go out there and do some modifications. I don't know if I'm going to put that in this upcoming video or not. But we're going to go out there and we're going to try to do a little bit of festooning on the Anjou pair. It's already got several limbs I've got trained to go almost straight horizontal, almost a few, and those are just covered with fruiting spikes right now. We're gonna get pears off of it this year. I'm so happy. I'm gonna have more pears. The peach tree is in bloom. We're gonna have peaches. It looks like lots and lots of peaches. I lost one of our cherry trees, unfortunately. I believe it was the Stella, which would be the second time I have lost a Stella cherry tree. It was hit by a falling branch from one of the old dying redbuds that we cut out, and apparently whenever it shifted, it came right over on top of it. I didn't see it when it happened, and it snapped it off. So there's the cherry tree in the ground, and the place right above the graft is where it broke. So we've got whatever kind of prunus that cherry tree was. That's what we've got growing there. Like if it grows and it makes something, then fine. I'll let it grow. Maybe I'll graft something else onto it. We've got peaches. We've got peaches. We've got plums. The plum tree is blooming. It's covered with blossoms. We're going to get plums. It's going to be great. Mary says order new cherry trees. It's late in the season, though, I suppose. I don't think they have cherry for pickup at the local home and garden center. So they'd have to be shipped from somewhere. I don't know. Yep. The spot where we've got them should have plenty of shade, and the water stays nice and cool. The thing is, where the kiddie pools are on the south side of the house, we have the shade of the pecan tree during the heat of the day, and then where the 100-gallon stock tank pond is, that's a 2-foot deep pond. So it's got quite a bit of earth around it, keeping the temperature lower as well. We drop temperature pretty quick below the surface. So it's probably going to hit maybe 70 degrees, 75 tops, which is a little bit warm, but not too much for the carp. Oh, they can get huge. They can get really huge. We used to be able to see monster goldfish swimming around in the White River. There's a little channel. This is at Forsyth, Missouri. There's a little channel that connected to Bull Shoals, and that channel was really, really super cold. So you go out there to go swimming in it, and height of the summer, that top maybe 18 inches of water where the sunlight hit it was warm enough, and you can swim around. But if you dove down at all, you started getting cold. I mean, hypothermic cold fast. And you could swim down to where those goldfish were, and you could see them cruising 2, 3, 4 foot long, huge things, massive. And yeah, they just swim around, and people would throw crumbs to them, and that's why they got huge. And nobody's fishing there because it's a swimming hole, so there's nobody fishing. There's just massive goldfish are swimming around mooching. Goldfish panhandlers, yeah, they're like that. Hey guys, it's 10 o'clock. Oh my goodness, 10 o'clock. I'm gonna get some sleep. I need to get up early in the morning. I'm about halfway done with that strip. what all did I get done today? I got so I got the flowering quince transplanted. We already had chinkapin, pecan. Now we have, so it's going to go chinkapin on the north end, the pecan, and then flowering quince after that. And then I added in a couple of goji berries. I mentioned I started some goji berries from root cuttings. I added a couple of those, one for each of these little stations. So I'm making these. Each tree is a station, and these are going to be kind of in the understory, not canopy layer, but somewhat shorter trees in the backyard. Even that. Sorry, my nose is itching. I want to blow it actually, but it's kind of half stuffed up. Even that pecan tree is going to be shorter because I air layered it. It's not grown from a seed. It's actually from the end of a branch. And because it's a branch end, it's going to have a tendency to want to get really bushy. So I figure if I can have this pecan tree and grow it like a bush and have those nuts up where I can pick them, that would be kind of interesting. I don't know of anybody who's done it, so I figure I'll do it. So we have chinkapin, which is a nut tree, kind of like a chestnut, but smaller. Then the pecan, which of course is a nut tree. And then we've got that flowering quince, which is a member of the rose family, makes a little vitamin C rich fruit, likes to grow in the shade. And then the next station over is the Anjou pear tree. So there's and let's see, far north of that is the black mulberry that survived. So it's black mulberry, Allegheny chinkapin. The full list in this row is black mulberry, Allegheny chinkapin, pecan, grown like a bush, flowering quince now that I just put in, and then Anjou pear. So what is that? 6 different trees in this row, but each one is its own separate station is what I'm trying to get to. And in between each one, there is a channel that I've cut, filled in with organic matter, wood chips, to bank and hold on to moisture whenever it rains. And then as that settles, we add more and more and more and more, so that hopefully a lot of that rainwater will be banked in the soil, and I don't have to worry about the holding water and pumping water and stuff like that. Hopefully, we'll see. Each one of these tree stations, we have other things that we plant around. It's not just the tree, it's everything else. So we have goji berry, as I mentioned. We just put those in as an understory shrub to go with the understory tree. Goji berry by itself can get 9-10 foot tall, but if it's growing underneath a shaded area, it won't grow that much. It'll still grow up and it'll produce berries, but it won't get huge. But that's a shrub layer for underneath. Underneath that, we've got other things that we can grow. For example, I put in some all-star strawberry, and I put in, I think it was 4 strawberry plants for each one of those stations. We're doing 3 stations. So we're putting those in. And then we have more daylilies, classic orange daylily, Hemerocallis fulva, edible flower, protein-rich shoots early in the spring. Whenever the ducks come around and start foraging, they'll trim those back a little bit as they like them. They won't eat everything, but they'll eat some of it. So we put those in. I put I think 8 of those in per station, maybe a few more. We still have horseradish in there, so I just took those, dug them up, separated off a bit of that extra root, broke it up into sections, set it out to cure, and replanted the horseradish. So we're spreading the horseradish around. So we have horseradish in there as well as everything else. All different things growing in each one of these stations. I'll come back and I'll add some more cover crops. So there'll be radish and buckwheat and probably fennel and dill and all other different types of things. Mint root and nettles, because Jasper sent me nettles in the mail. They're a red leaf stinging nettle. He told me exactly what they were. I've been trying to get nettles growing in the garden, but it had no success with seed starts. So he sent me live plants. I planted them. We got them watered in. Hopefully we will now have nettles, which sounds crazy, right? Sounds kind of crazy, but really it's not. This is one of those plants that you may not necessarily like it, but the thing that it does for your garden is so great that it's worth having. Just put them in the corner, put them close to the outside of your garden. So it's one of the first things that visitors encounter. Maybe not right there where human visitors are going to encounter it, but where insect visitors are going to encounter it, and where four-legged visitors are going to encounter it. And you're going to put up that out there where your clovers are on the outer perimeter as well. So what happens here? Early on in the year, your nettle pops up, and it's busy soaking up all the excess nitrogen that's going through your system, right? Spring's here, things are warming up, things are breaking down. Nitrate is entering into the soil. It's being taken up by plants, but you have excesses sometimes. Whenever you have excesses, what happens? Well, plants with an excess of nitrogen, if the plant itself uptakes the nitrogen, they become a place where aphids want to come. Usually, whenever you have an aphid infestation, it's too much nitrogen. That's usually what it is. But the nettle jumps in and goes, I will take all of that nitrogen. I love excess nitrogen. I'll take it and I'll store it. As soon as they do that, they just send out this beacon that says, aphids, come here, eat me. Aphids, come here, eat me. Aphids, come here, eat me. And the nettle doesn't care. It does not. It absolutely does not care that the aphids are going to come and start chewing on it. Oh, then sassafras says, so you plant the nettles to deter human pests. Maybe a little bit too. Things on the outer boundary, briars, poison ivy, nettles. I mean, all of these plants actually do have a function and purpose, but really in this particular case, I'm more interested in them at being this beacon for the aphids and thrips and other leaf destroying critters, because as soon as they go and they infest the nettles, my ladybug population starts kicking up and they come in and clean that up. But now I have lots and lots and lots and lots of ladybugs. And since I have this horde of ladybugs that I fed on the pests that were eating the nettles, I have enough ladybugs to get me throughout the rest of the season. And sassafras says they eat the hell out of nettles in the spring. They're really good. They're mineral rich. They're great for you. Chickweed too, also vitamin and mineral rich. There are a lot of really good things that you can forage in the spring that are loaded with vitamins and minerals that your body craves, having been without throughout the winter. Brian saying the Asian ladybugs actually bite. Yes, they do. But we're getting lots and lots of true ladybugs this year, which is great. Vicky was asking, are Canna indica edible? Yes, Canna indica is edible. All members of the Canaceae family are edible because they are not true lilies at all. True lilies are poisonous. Canna lilies are not lilies. Daylilies are not lilies. Easiest way to tell is if you have a look at the bottom of the plant and it's a bulb with layers and it does not smell like an onion or garlic, and you put your tongue to it and it doesn't taste like onions or garlic, then that is a toxic bulb. Don't eat it. Easiest way to tell. So that's not the case with canna lilies. Those are rhizomes. There's no layers. It's just a big, thick, starchy root, fleshy root. And then your ditch lilies or day lilies, as they're called. They're not true lilies either. They're an entirely different species, and they have little tiny tubers that grow down there. They don't have bulbs either. They're little tubers, like little fingerling potatoes is what they look like. They're a little bit watery. They're fibrous and watery. They're perfectly good for a source of starch, but the skin on the outside of those little tubers is a bit much. So if you're going to eat them, whenever you're doing divisions, it's a perfect time to pop off a few, and you can throw them into a stir fry and eat them. They're fine. You don't want to make it the main course. You don't want to. They're not great that way. But a couple of them thrown into a stir fry, perfectly fine. You'll love having them. Just remove the skin, because that skin is high in fiber and it'll make you regular. It will definitely make you regular. Let's see. Anywho's. Okay, everybody's swapping addresses and trading plants, and that's great. I'm going to get out of here because, like I said, I've got more work to do. I told you what I just got put down. Tomorrow, I've got to rake through, get rid of the extra. Yeah, they'll give you gas. They'll help you go to the bathroom if you eat them with the skins on. Sasspress said they can't grow canna without lifting every fall. Oh shoot, that's right. There was somebody that sent me an email asking if I was going to have canna for sale. I'm going through what I've got in ground to see. We had some pretty hard freezes, and I didn't put a lot away in totes. So I don't know for sure if I'm going to sell any canna this year. At the moment, I don't know. I found a couple that I'm definitely going to be able to spread around, but I don't know if I'm going to have extra for sale. So at the moment, that's where I'm at. Egyptian walking onions we will definitely have for sale this year. And at the moment, I'm just sorting out what's going on with getting payments from Shopify to the bank account. And if everything is okay with that, I'll start listing everything. And I will probably cancel the former website and maybe transfer the domain name to Shopify if that makes more sense, because it's a quicker and easier access to the market. Whenever people watch a video, if I'm talking about that particular plant, they can look right down at the bottom and find that plant for sale. That seems like a no-brainer for sales and marketing. So we'll see how that works, and we'll see if we actually start getting out of the red as far as expenses go. Because we just turned our paperwork in for taxes, and yay, we lost money. Yay, we're losing money. We get a bigger tax return. But yeah. We the cannas that I was looking at out there, the Portland canna did not survive in ground very well. The canna indica purpurea did survive a little bit better, even though it was a harsh winter and we did lose some of them. I don't think we lost all of them in any one particular clump, but as far as getting all the way through the winter and being able to germinate or to sprout and grow new plants the next year, I think I'm kind of with sassafras. I should put more of them back in the winter to keep them safe, and I still have to build a place to put those, unfortunately. So if I'm putting them back, I have to stow them in a spare room somewhere. I don't have spare space at the moment. We're doing all of this clean out, trying to get into a position where I can actually do some business volume out of this place and turn this into a profitable business, instead of just I like to grow stuff in my spare time and it's a hobby. Sometimes people pay me for plants. But it's coming along, and taxes are done, because if you want something, you should be able to pay for it. You want homeless people to have a place to live, you should be able to pay for homeless people to have a place to live. You want a wall on the border between this geographical area and that geographical area, you should be able to go down there, buy property, and build a wall if that's what you want to do. If you want to have your anti-aircraft battery in your backyard and shoot down incoming hostile aircraft that mean you and your neighbors harm, you should be able to do that. I'm not really interested in the anti-aircraft battery, but a javelin launcher would be nice, I think. Anyway, let's see. Billy's asking if there's any point to adding perlite to pure manure compost. Try to avoid using too much stuff that I can't replace or substitute. As it turns out, biochar does a great job of adding additional volume and moisture retention in soil, which was what it was being added. Which is what perlite was being added to potting mix for. Perlite is made by cooking volcanic glass, I think is the way they do it, to make it expand. it's not absolutely necessary to put into your soil. Charcoal, biochar will perform the same function for you, and it's essentially free. So if you have the ability to make biochar, don't worry about getting perlite. Don't need it. Perlite and vermiculite, don't need it, because you already have something that serves that same purpose. Does a better job of it too. I mean, shoot, biochar charcoal will stay in the soil for thousands of years. This is kind of, oh shoot, I don't know when I'm going to do this. I might do a video about this. I'm going to say it right now, but you're going to see it in the video later. Talking about soil succession. This is kind of what we're in the process of doing here, is making the soil's nature, its character change. And we don't really talk about that a lot, but that's what's happening. I think what's his name? Lawton, Jeffrey Lawton talks about secession and food forest secession a bit more than I do. I don't really cover it a lot, but this is really what we're doing whenever you go in and you start taking area that was bottomland or grassland or the area around your house. Your house is not a normal environment at all. Typically they come in, they tear out everything that was underneath, and they replace what was down here with clay to prevent settling. They've got to remove the organic matter, so they replace everything that was there with dead, lifeless clay and material, so it won't settle, so your house won't crumble and fall apart. Changing that dynamic around your house is going to be a long-term project. Where your foundation is itself, you don't want that to change. You don't want your foundation to suddenly become full of organic matter. Then you're going to have settling. But that pad all the way around extends quite a bit. If you live in a residential area, you've got entire tracts of land where they've come through, stripped off all the topsoil, made sure there was nothing but clay there, and then made sure that was compacted, then built everything out, and then laid out strips of sod on the top of that. You have almost nothing in the way of real soil organic matter to begin with. You're starting with substrate, and that's fine. That's fine. You can start with substrate. I'm doing that out there in the front yard right now, right? But as you go through succession, you're going to be changing the composition of the soil from that clay yard soil, compacted construction waste, debris, whatever. That's going to change, and you're going to start going into pioneer territory. It's either going to be grasslands. It's kind of what it wanted to be, was grassland, but without ruminants, without things to maintain a grassland. So you have to push a lawnmower, and you have to be the ruminant. Whenever you change things in the ecosystem, if you don't replace it with something that's going to fill that niche, you either have a suffering ecosystem or the human being has to do the extra work. So, if you're going to have a lawn, you're going to have to push a lawnmower if you're going to maintain your grassland, right? Not the best idea. But we want to change from that grassland that you can't maintain properly without a whole bunch of inputs to a pioneer forest. This is when you start bringing in your trees, and things don't do all that great early on in your food forest. You may be struggling because the soil type is not forest soil yet. It's still a wreck. It's still a mess. It hasn't changed yet. And it's going to take several seasons for things to change. It takes time for things to change. But as things change, the soil composition changes. The type of plants that want to live there changes. When it was grasslands, you're going to have certain things that want to come in, that want to move in, they want to set up. Out here, where we're at, those things include the sticker grass, right? It's not goat heads, but they're more of a grass type sticker. Little nasty seeds, sharp points on them, little barbs on them. They get in your skin. Animal fur that gets carried around everywhere. But the purpose of that particular plant is to hold down soil whenever it's a barren wasteland. It says, okay, look, it's dry, it's inhospitable, there's no organic matter. I'm here to hold the soil down. And then we have things like Bermuda grass, also running grass, wants to hold the soil down. These things are pioneer grasses. Well, we're trying to move away from pioneer grasses. Then we have pioneer trees. And that's things like your redbuds. They don't mind growing in clay or in rocks or in drought conditions or in horrible conditions. They don't mind. They're just here to do their thing. They're a member of the legume family, but for some weird reason, they have lost their associated bacteria. So you don't have nitrogen fixing bacteria. It's the only legume I know of that does not produce a nitrogen fixing bacteria. Or if it does exist, we haven't spotted it and codified it and identified what it is yet. Anyways, we have those trees growing in abundance here. And we have lots and lots of black locusts, pioneers. Once again, these tough species, they want to come in, settle in, and get themselves established. And all these pioneers also have another thing in common. They have another thing in common with the oak trees that are part of this great oak savanna ecosystem, all the way from Canada down into Mexico, that once upon a time was maintained by mastodons. After the mastodons went extinct, it was maintained by bison. After the bison very nearly went extinct, it's being maintained by nothing, and now we have problems with droughts and desertification. All of this stuff maintained by fire. What happens is you have these trees, pioneers, oaks, redbuds. I think there's some firs and other things that go in there. If you're in the southern hemisphere, eucalyptus like to do this, and they like to burn. And after the burn, they always pop up and they grow more of them. And this is going to go on for a long time, however long it takes. It's just kind of the way it goes, is however long it takes. Slowly, over time, the soil begins to accumulate charcoal because you have the burns. The burns are intense. The fire gets to the point where it sucks up all the oxygen, stuffs the fire out, or it rains, and you're left with charcoal. And charcoal becomes part of the soil. Through successive burns year after year after year, charcoal begins to build up in the soil, and it begins to form a portion of the permanent organic matter that's in your soil. I don't know exactly what the tipping point is. And then this is something that's going to require some research on my part, if I can even find it. Maybe it's research that just simply needs to be done. But at a certain point, the tipping point happens whenever that soil stops supporting pioneer species and wants to support old growth forest species. And whenever that happens, it's like something magical happened. Your soil is suddenly transformed. It wants to support a different type of plant. It wants to support them differently. And you move from this wasteland rapidly through different types of soil until you're at the point where you can support a really, really healthy and productive system. And that's, we're trying to accelerate that. So definitely biochar, put it into your soil, work it in every chance you get, because it can get there one of two ways. You can either let the wildfire happen and it gets there the way nature wants to put it in over the course of several hundred years or thousands of years, or you can do it deliberately by making and installing biochar yourself as part of your regular treatment of your soil, and in which case you can transform your soil from that pioneer stage into intermediary, then to old growth within your own lifetime. And then you can have that really productive system that does not require an incredible amount of maintenance. And that's almost 2 hours of show for you. We'll be doing that particular video once I've done a little bit more research and I can get you a better idea about what percentage of soil organic matter needs to switch to being pyrus soil. In other words, soil formed by fire. Whenever that switch happens, that's whenever your forest changes its characteristics and its nature, and you stop having things like the black locust want to come in and dominate. So on the one hand, the black locust sends its runners everywhere, and you're constantly pulling these things up because it's become one of your weeds. On the other hand, at a certain point, it doesn't want to grow there anymore because you've changed your soil chemistry to the point where it supports an entirely different set of species. Here we go. So anyway, 2 hours worth of show. I don't know why I went so long, but that's what I've been watching. That's what I've been up to. I hope you found the video informative or anything. If you did, you know what to do. I'll catch you next time. Until then, guys, get out there and get growing. I'll catch you next time.